All right, bettors, welcome back here. It's Joe the Fan here with Just Win Bets, baby. And I'm here with Shane O'Mac to discuss the NHL Finals, Stanley Cup Finals. But before we do that, we have some merch. The guys at the studio, look at that, Shano. Got to get that to you. A black
Beautiful looking
hat. Look at that. I like it. And then, of course, they've got I like this one. It's got the gold with the burgundy and gold, obviously. So we're going to need to, I know you got one, but these just came in. And we're going to be selling these very soon, guys. So our website is almost done. They told me it should be done by the end of the week. And we'll get that up to you guys. An option for you guys to start buying that. But now let's talk business and business as usual. Let's talk about the Stanley Cup Finals. We have the two teams that were in the finals last year, Shano. Of course, Florida Panthers, who are the defending champions, Stanley Cup champions, taking on the Edmonton Oilers, where, of course, as you guys may remember, that the Panthers were up 3-0. It looked like a clean sweep there. The Oilers came back to tie it 3-3, and then the Panthers won it in Game 7. Let's take a look. We'll share the odds for courtesy of FanDuel to show you exactly what we are going to look at. Let's talk about tomorrow's game first. Tomorrow's game, of course, brought to you by FanDuel. And you can see here, guys, on your screen, we have the Florida Panthers that are going to be taking on Game 1 at Edmonton. They are, of course, getting the 1.5, which is the puck line at minus 230. Minus 1.5, you think Edmonton is going to win it with 2 or more goals at plus 184. But here's the thing I like, Shano. Plus 110 for the Florida Panthers to win Game 1. That's going to be my 1 unit play on that one. What's your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, so for Game 1, I like that a lot. Edmonton historically usually tends to start slow in series, and you saw that last year in the Stanley Cup Finals, right? So they went down 3-0, right? So the Florida Panthers jumped out on them early. So the Oilers tend to do that in the playoffs. This year they haven't been as bad with that. Like last round, they played Dallas Stars. They didn't really trail that much behind Dallas Stars. They lost Game 1, and that was it. But they lost Game 1 still, right? This one's a little different because it is in Edmonton, but I think that Panthers plus money there is a solid bet there.
Yeah, plus 110 is there, and over under you can see there, folks, on the screen. It's 6.5. So the books are looking at a lot of goals here. Shano, what's your take on that? You've got over 6.5 at plus 110 right now. Obviously, odds are subject to change throughout the next couple of days here. And then you have the under 6.5 at minus 134.
To me, this really comes down to Skinner from the Oilers and how he plays. He played really, really well last round. The round before that, he was letting in goals left and right, and somehow Oilers just put up enough offense to get by him. Bobrovsky, the Panthers goalie, he's usually incredible in the playoffs. He had a little bit of slip early in the playoffs this year, but he looks like he's right at his wrongs and going the right direction now. At 6.5, that's pretty high for hockey. Hockey's usually at 5.5. I think I would take the under, but I would expect around 6 would be the total payout, like 4-2, somewhere around there for the winner.
Yeah. They're definitely going to be pulling the goalie, depending if it's a very close game, which we are looking at that as well. So you'll notice here, guys, it's plus 110 for the money line. That's what I'm going to say. That's my 1 unit play. But that, of course, is regular. So that means no matter there's no there's no shootouts or anything like that. It's based on the whole game. So if you're betting that at plus 110, but let's look at the 60-minute line, 60-minute money line 3-way at plus 165. Or if you think it's going to be tied in regulation, okay, that means the whole 60 minutes. Suppose it's going to be 2-2 or 3-3. You can get that at plus 330, and then the Edmonton Oilers to win money line in 60 minutes at plus 120. I'm tempted to take a little ladder. Shano, you've done that in the semifinals or the conference finals, I should say, of doing some ladders there. I might do a little ladder here, plus 165. It's a little tasty there. I'm going to get a half unit there.
Yeah, that's not a bad play. I like that. We did the latter a couple times in the last round, right? We did it for both of these teams, actually.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We put a small unit on. I think we did a small unit on the puck line, and then like a slightly larger on the 60-minute line, and then a bigger amount on the straight money line. Yeah, I wouldn't take the Panthers -1.5. I think it's gonna be close. It could happen because if they pull a goalie, like we were talking about, but 60-minute line, that's pretty juicy there at +165.
We also have some other props that we like. Let's show our audience that right now. We're going to look at the futures. If you want to go on FanDuel right now, folks, and you look at Stanley Cup, you click on that. We have, of course, the series winner. Shayna, what are your thoughts? Before we do that, let's look at it. Florida Panthers at +106. Now, we did see a +100 in a different book. So we want to always get the best number here, guys. So FanDuel looks like right now it's what the best number is as we speak. Of course, it's subject to change. The odds are subject to change. And Edmonton to win the series at -128. Your thoughts on who wins the series?
Ric Flair once said, "To be the man, you got to beat the man." Right?
Absolutely.
The Panthers are the man right now. And I'm rolling with the Panthers at plus money. I think, honestly, this is a very even series. And we saw that last year when it went to 7 games. These two are pretty evenly matched. But I can't turn away from the Panthers. They look so good this whole postseason. I cannot go away with them getting plus money. I'm going to take the Panthers here to win the series.
I'm going to go with, of course, I have to agree with you on that one. I'm going to go with the Florida Panthers winning as well. But the question is, how many games? So let's look at that bettors right now. We're going to scroll down and look at that. We're jumping a little all over the place here, but how many series exact games? So right here, and we'll look at after 3 games. Actually, let's look at that first. After 3 games, okay, because, again, it's the best out of 7. So we'll look after the first 3 games. Keep in mind that the first 2 games are at Edmonton, okay? So right here, it's 2-1 Edmonton to finish after 3 games at +120. The Florida Panthers at +145. Ooh, might take a little nibble on that. 2-1. Edmonton with a clean sweep thus far, 3-0, +550, 3-0, +800 for the Florida Panthers. Could deja vu happen again, Shayna?
It could. You never know. I would stay away from the 3-0. I don't think either team's going to go up 3-0 in this situation. I think it's going to be 2-1 somebody.
Right.
And I think it's going to be the Panthers 2-1. That would probably be my best bet out of those bets. I think Panthers steal 1 in Edmonton, and then they'll win the game in Florida in Game 3, getting them that 2-1 in the first 3 games.
I agree with you on that one. I think Florida is the better team, and they're a stronger team. But I think Edmonton's going to put up a little bit of a fight. We'll see what happens after Game 1. So those are the odds for the after 3 games. Let's talk about the whole series now. How many exact games will there be? This is where, for me personally, Shano, it's about the money. If you're the National Hockey League, and we'll talk about in our different video the NBA Finals between the Indiana Pacers and the OKC Thunder. But in the NHL, you want to stretch that dollar, okay? If you're a league like that, you want to stretch that dollar. You don't want it to go 4 games. Why? It's all about the money, right? So if it does go 4 games, it's +700, 5 games +260, 6 games at +200, +7 games +165. That's the reason why the books are doing it bettors. They're doing it because they know that we're talking about when you look at the money in the business of the teams, Florida and Edmonton, okay, it's going to, and it's going to at least 4 games. We don't see it being a sweep. So is it possible you can go 5? Sure. I'm looking at either putting some pizza money on 6 games, let alone 7 games. My money is 4-2 Florida, 6 games. Thoughts?
Yes. Yeah, there's no way it's going 4 games. It's just no one's getting a sweep in this series. I don't think both teams are too good for them to get swept. 4 games out the window. That's why it's +700 because like the bookmakers know that's probably not going to happen, right?
Right.
So the 4 games is out of question to me. I think it's either going to be 6 or 7. If I'm putting my money on it, I'm putting a little bit on the Panthers 4-2 winning the series in Game 6 in Florida.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, you can just eliminate out of the 4, now you can eliminate. Now you got a 33 and a third chance with those 3 remaining, right? When you have game 5, 6, and 7, based on what I've calculated, and your analytics are a little bit different. Your model's a little bit different than mine, but I see it at either being 6 or 7 games. I'm putting some pizza on 6 games.
Oh yeah, that would be my play too. My math is showing me, like I said, Panthers in 6, 4-2 Panthers as the winner.
All right,
but
so
I would stay away from that 4 games, and I would stay away from 5 games. I don't see either one of those two happening.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either, Shayna. So let's look at, of course, the correct series. This is really hard. They've added this to FanDuel, which I personally love. It goes by the correct order of who wins what. This is hard stuff, bettors. And this is something that I know you've been working hard on. Hey, who's taking one? Who's taking blah, blah, blah. So if you're looking at 6 games, and there's a lot here, a lot of different combinations. I'm liking this right here at 4,400. Florida wins game 1. Edmonton comes back and wins game 2. Florida game 3. This is your typical seesaw. Okay. But look, it has Edmonton winning 4-2. Let's look at where Florida wins game 1. And Edmonton. So let me scroll back up.
Yeah, where's one where Florida wins in game 6?
Game 6. Yeah. Here it is. Oh, no, that's game 6. But then where's Florida game 1? They don't
These
have
to
it.
me are always like you said. This is definitely trickier because so much changes from game to game, momentum. Right. So let's say hopefully this doesn't happen, but if the Oilers have Evander Kane go down in game 1, and then that totally shifts your game 2, right? These are definitely, but the payouts are huge. I mean, look at that. The plus 8,000 for that one I just saw, plus 9,000, plus 4,500. Look at
this one right here, Shane. I had to scroll down. That's my mistake. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it's game 1 and game 2, game 3, Florida. It's deja vu. Then Edmonton game 4, Edmonton game 5. So it goes to 3-2, and then Florida plays it out. If that's possible, that's 5,500 plus 5,500. Here's a seesaw one that we talked about there, Shayna, at 3,800. Florida game 1, Edmonton 2. It's pretty much that seesaw. Or we can do the seesaw right here at plus 4,800. These are very pizza money. I mean, you do a half a unit or a unit on that. Oh man, you'll be thanking us later.
Yeah. I like that one where it's Florida game 1, Edmonton game 2, Florida, both at games in Florida home and win game 3 and 4, and then Edmonton in game 5, Florida game 6. I think it was plus 3,800. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, right here. Yep.
Plus 3,800. I like that one a lot. I might throw a couple bucks on that one.
Yep. So stay away from our advice would be stay away from the sweep on that one. All right, so let's look at another part of the series. So we had the over under before we even get to the total games. I get that, but the spread there over 5.5. That's why Vegas is saying, hey, minus 205. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree 100% on that. I think that's pretty much a lock. It's not a huge payout at minus 205, but that's pretty much a lock. I think it's definitely going 6 or 7 games, unless something crazy happens, like we said, like some major key injury of somebody or something like that, which hopefully doesn't happen. I want as many games as possible because they're 2 entertaining teams, and I want to see a great series, right? So, but over 5.5, I'm going to put. It's not a huge payout, like I said, but I'm going to put probably like 2 or 3 units on that.
No, I'm with you on that. Here's the spread. Here's the thing, and we'll show more here, but for the Florida Panthers, I don't see them. I see this Florida Panthers plus 210. I like that, but I don't see Florida going minus 2. I mean, that's nice payout there, but I don't see it happening.
No, I don't see. I mean, that means they're winning it in game 5, right? So they'd be up 4-1, right? So I mean, it's possible, sure, but based on the math I've seen and the hockey I've watched this postseason, I don't see that happening. I do like the minus 1.5, but I kind of would like, what's that compared to like the straight Florida wins in 6? Like, if you just did a straight bet, what's the better odds?
Yeah,
That's at plus 210.
Right. It's the correct series score is what their series correct score, excuse me, for that. So right here, Edmonton for a sweep plus 1,300. If that's how you feel better, go ahead and do it. Plus 1,600 for the sweep for Florida. Just to kind of send the message. Hey, they did it pretty much, almost did it last year with 3-0. But then, of course, Edmonton came back. So here, let me show more. Our 4-2 is at plus 490. I've seen other books, guys. You want to check out maybe Bet Rivers or Bet 365. I saw that at plus 500, 4-2 Florida.
Yeah, that to me, instead of going Florida Florida plus 210 at minus 1.5 games, I think that's the more value bet there. More bang for your buck at plus 490.
Right.
Florida Panthers 4-2.
Yeah, and
you can even bet the same amount on that and Florida 4-3 at plus 470, and it would still make more money than just Florida plus 210.
I was thinking the exact same thing, but the other thing I was looking at is do maybe a little pizza money on the plus 700 4-1 Florida. I'm just saying, you just never know. But you and I agree, plus 490 looks good. Even if it goes 7, I mean, you're only losing 20 cents there. You're still in the positive, but that's more of where you want to look at if I were you bettors.
I agree. Both of those are great odds there. That's where my money would probably be instead of doing the minus 1.5 for the games. I think there's more value for those bets. Like I said, because you can bet both of those two, plus 490 and plus 470, and you're even with betting both of them, you're still making more money than betting something at plus 200 with your win.
So Shayna, what are you putting on the 4-2? 2 units, 3 units?
I would say 2 units on 4-2. And maybe I might throw like a little bit on the 4-3 just in case it goes to game 7.
Well, I mean, that you bring up a great point. If you want to go 2 units on 4-2, why don't you do, if you want to cover both, go a unit apiece. So you can go a unit on 4 plus 490 and a unit on plus 470. So you're at least making positive money here, bettors. Now you had mentioned something to the effect of goals. Goal leader is something I would like to talk to you about, the points leader. Right here. Connor McDavid plus 125. I'm going to throw something out there. I like this young man right here. But your thoughts on that? Matthew and Sam.
Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Reinhart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of those are possible. The reason why McDavid is so much is so way ahead of him is because I mean that dude's incredible. That guy finds. I mean, they call him. I don't know if everybody you guys know this. Anybody watching, but they call him McJesus up in Edmonton. They call him Hockey Jesus. So I mean, he's averaging 2 points a game right now in the playoffs. So I mean, he's the dude. The dude can play. And he gets goals and assists. So that's why he's the clear favorite here. And Draisaitl, he's also on the Oilers. Those are their 2 biggest stars, and they're on the same line. And like, boom, they just all feed off each other. But Tkachuk at plus 1,000, that's juicy if it happens. Same with Reinhart. I could see both of those for Florida happening.
Yeah.
Worth a little money on them. I wouldn't go heavy bets on either one of them, but I think it's worth a couple bucks here or there for both of those.
Yeah. Half a unit each.
Yeah.
And we've seen it throughout the playoff. They've actually shown up and actually produced. So again, we'll see what happens. You never know. But I like that.
And you got something you got to think about too with that is that Bobrovsky for the Panthers. I mean, he's a known commodity in the playoffs. He is usually stellar in the playoffs. Like I said, he struggled a little bit early in the playoffs. Obviously, he fixed it because the Panthers are in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right.
But that last round of the Stanley Cup Finals, when they were just shutting down the Hurricanes. I mean, he was like, I forget what his save percentage was, but it was like I think it was like 0.927 or something like that, which is way above league average. I think he's back on track to where he was, and he's had a pretty long rest. He's getting up there in age. He's like 38 or so years old. But I think they've had how long has it been? 5-6 days now, right, of rest. So I think he'll be ready and geared to go. So that kind of leads into the total points leader.
Let's look at the goal scorers here, and this happens to be in the series leading goal scorers. You've got pretty much the same guys, but look at this. Sam Bennett at plus 1,300. Maybe a little pizza on Corey Perry. You never know.
And another one that's actually a really good one is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, plus 1,800. That's a big one for the Oilers. I don't know if he can lead the whole series in it, but last series he had more points than Connor McDavid last round, which is unheard of for the Oilers. So I mean that's a possibility. That's pretty big payout there too.
Any other skater that you see here, hockey player you see that might get you a little? I might take how about Evander Kane?
Evander Kane, if he gets hot, that could happen. He's averaging. We bet him throughout the playoffs with his shot on goals over. Remember, and it's like, and I was surprised that they weren't raising it. It started at 1.5, and he was like dominating it each game. And then the books bumped it up to 2.5, and he was still hitting that at like a 6.5 or 60-something% clip, over 2.5 shots on goal per game. If he gets hot, that could be a possibility. He doesn't get the same amount of minutes that some of these guys though do,
right?
Because he's on like their third line, I believe. So like he doesn't get the minutes that like a Draisaitl or a McDavid or a Reinhart or a Tkachuk get.
Yeah, no, I agree. I understand, and I'm following what you're telling me here. But what about Connor McDavid, aka Hockey Jesus, plus 460? Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty juicy there for him. I mean, that dude's incredible. He could easily do that. It all comes down to goal play, and then if Florida's the defense of Florida that's incredible shuts them down, then that's the one reason why someone might lean towards Panthers. But at plus 460, that might be worth like a little bit of money to throw it on him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, finally we're going to look at, you talked about the goalies or the save, et cetera, with the defense. Let's look at the goalies right here.
There it goes. Saves every game.
Saves every game. Look at that. Skinner 15. They break it down for you. Skinner plus 20 saves every game. Ooh.
It depends on which Skinner shows up. That's what we're talking about with there, right? So
yeah.
Like he was struggling the first 2 rounds of the series, but the Oilers' offense was so good that they just got him there. But he was dominant against the Stars. Like he only let in what was it? The last 4 games against the Stars, only let in 3 goals, something like that. So that's pretty good. I love that Bobrovsky 15 plus for every game. That's a lock, but it's at minus 210. But that's definitely happening. Bobrovsky plus 20 plus. That looks pretty good too. The Oilers, if you guys don't know, they lead the league in shots and goal. So it's them and the Hurricanes are the number 1 and number 2, and they were both like half a point or half a shot a goal off each other. So the Oilers throw a lot of pucks on net. That's why I would lean more Bobrovsky at 20 plus. And he's a little bit more of a proven commodity to me, where like Skinner, I feel like if he has a bad game or two, he can be more likely to get pulled.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I like the plus 240 on that one with the 20 plus from Sergey. But keep this in mind, bettors. It's not the average. So it is the number of saves for every single game. So if it goes 4 games, if it goes 5 games, Sergey over here has to save at least 20 plus. So that it's not an average. I mean, if the Oilers come out swinging, that's great. But they could get like 30 shots on goal in game 1 and not only produce 2 shots on goal in game 2, which sucks.
Yeah, no I agree with that. And that's tough
and
too.
Especially, I didn't mean to cut you off, Shane. Especially if they pull the goalie, then you're really screwed on your bet.
That happened to us this postseason. Remember, I forget what goalie it was, but we took overs and save, and he was like 1 away, and then like he let a goal in, and I was like, no, keep him in.
This is officially our final one right here, Stanley Cup Final plus the NBA Finals. We're going to be talking about that bettors later on, but the NBA Finals cross sports special. This is what I really love about FanDuel. both series to have 5 games plus at minus 280. We had talked about, hey, we'll talk about the NBA thing, but we want to stick with that same philosophy, Shano. I don't want to talk a little bit more about NBA in our other video, but I see it going. You want to stretch it out. You're looking at the vendors, the ticket holders, especially, hey, if you're the Indiana Pacers or the Edmonton Oilers, whatever, you want to sell tickets. That's your moneymaker. Okay, the hell with the television, because you already got the television contract. You already got the money for that, right? You want to sell the merch, the alcohol, the tickets, everything. And that's why I'm thinking 6 games plus at plus 205 should be a lot. If it goes to 7, oh mama. And the other thing I like about this, Shano, is exactly 6 plus 880. That's a little pizza right there, my friend.
Yeah, there's a little bit there. The plus 6 plus, that's very tempting at plus 205.
Yeah,
that's very tempting there. Going into basketball, that is definitely. I think the Thunder. I think we both agree Thunder are going to probably win that series. Right. But yeah, we have to look at that more in our next video. But yeah, that's both of those are tempting there. Yeah. I didn't know if Stanley does that.
But even look, you do a little pizza on this one there, Shano. What I'm pointing at right now, both series to have exactly 5 games. Because if you're this is a sneak preview. We'll talk a little bit more about it in our other video with the NBA. But if you got 4-1, Thunder winning, and then you have Panthers 4-1, that's winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, I think the basketball has more of a chance of doing that than the hockey. I think the hockey's definitely going to 6 or more. That's the one that's carrying me away from that.
I agree.
So
I agree.
Yeah, that's why I think the 6 plus games is probably the better one. But as we dive into the NBA one later, we can also talk more about that too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's bring it back here. Those are what we are showing, courtesy of FanDuel. Just to recap, here's what our picks are to win the series. Shano and I are agreeing on that. I like the 4-2 Panthers. And then you want to look at it, and guys, if you go in the series bet, you mentioned that before, right, Shano?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when you're doing that, so we were looking at the spread, right? So it had the Panthers minus 1.5 games at plus 210, right? But then they also, if you went into the exact games, Panthers 4-2 or Panthers 4-3 were both over plus 400. So even if you bet both of those with the same amount of odds that you would do at the plus 210 for Panthers minus 1.5, you would still walk away more money, even if you're going to lose one of those two, obviously. But just math tells you that you're going to make more money on that. So I think that's the better play, is playing one of those or even both of those if you want, as Panthers 4-2 or Panthers 4-3.
And then finally, we had some props of points and, of course, the most goals. Remind the folks exactly what you're leaning on that.
It's hard to go against McDavid. I mean, for most points, but some people we talked about was Tkachuk for the Panthers. Another one we didn't talk about, but he's been playing really, really well, and he's new to the Panthers this year, is Brad Marchand. They traded for him halfway through the season, and he's been pretty good for them in the playoffs. And he has a lot of playoff experience. I mean, the whole Panthers team does. This is their 3rd straight Stanley Cup Finals.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So. But he brings a lot of playoff experience, and he's been performing in the playoffs this whole playoffs. So I think he's a sneaky one too. You can put money on. But if you want more of a sure profit thing, McDavid's hard to bet against. He's just good. He's that good.
Nice, very nice. So that wraps up our NHL Stanley Cup finals preview. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that little bell. It shows that notification when you'll see a next video of us. We'll have more shorts to upload and take care of stuff. But before we go, again, we got some merch, and I kind of like the black one there. I'm not gonna lie. I like the white with the gold. I think it stands out pretty good there, Shano. And of course, we got the white. Nothing disrespect to the white, but and then there's going to be a 3rd color. They told us it's going to be charcoal. That's going to be interesting.
The black, it pops out. It hits out. I like it.
Yeah,
that looks pretty sick right there. I like that.
Absolutely. And we'll get some more details when the website is up, and then we'll have our merch to sell, including shirts, some hoodies, etc. We haven't had the opportunity to see exactly what the guys want to do, but we'll definitely share it on here on YouTube and our other social media platforms. But the other thing is an update. We have a new handicapper, of course, covering the college baseball. We'll start with the super regionals, and we're going to have Adam the Diamond Aces there, who's going to be covering that for us. And of course, CFL. CFL starts, of course, this Thursday. So JD Money is going to be talking about us or with me about that. So you can see here behind me, we've got the College World Series. They're wrapping up the regionals there, Shano, and then we'll go into the super regionals and of course the College World Series where they start wrapping that up. So, and then rumor has it, I'm going to put you on the spot there, Shano, before we go. Maybe a little NASCAR?
I watch as much NASCAR as I can. As much as I watch NASCAR, I should be better at betting it than I am. I'm not usually pretty good at it. I'll be honest. It's a little unpredictable to me because one wreck can wreck your whole bet.
Absolutely, that's why. But there's a lot of money in that. But yeah, I heard you've been working on some algorithm, some maths on it. That's kind of a rumor that's going around. But NASCAR, maybe not this year, but maybe in the future. You want to take a little nib on some NASCAR?
Yeah, we can do that in the future. We can put some put my spreadsheets together and see what comes up with. There are trends in NASCAR, like certain guys do better on super speedways compared to short tracks and all that stuff. So there's definitely trends like that. It's unpredictable because of accidents and like that, which makes it a little bit harder. You have your big teams like your Joe Gibbs Racing is like huge especially on super speedways and even like your mile plus long tracks. Like they almost dominate always there. I mean, but their teams dominate everywhere. He's so good. How is he so good at football and at racing? I've never understand.
Yes, but I've been doing a little study myself, Shano. What about little Danny Hamlin, who to me is a traitor? Used to be Joe Gibbs Racing. Now he's with Michael Jordan. Am I right?
Well, no, he still races for Joe Gibbs, but he made his own team with Michael Jordan. So he owns Bubba Wallace's car.
Okay.
With Jordan, but he still races for Joe Gibbs, and they're kind of like a subgroup of Joe Gibbs because like they use Joe Gibbs's engines and they use Joe Gibbs's chassis, like the actual body of the car. So like he's basically paying Joe Gibbs to allow like for different cars, like. So they're basically passing it down, but like they're kind of like a subset of Joe Gibbs Racing.
See, I can hang. I'm trying to get you. See, I'm starting to speak the lingo. I'll start studying a little bit more. For me, Shano, we've got a couple soccer tournaments. We have the FIFA Club World Cup. So we're going to have 32 teams for that. That's going to start in a couple weeks, middle of June. We have, of course, the CONCACAF, cup there. With, of course, MLS, the Gold Cup. We're going to have MLS teams battle out. So that's going to cover my summer. And then we get back together. Of course, we'll both have to go on vacation. But then we'll get back together as the preseason starts in the NFL. Get used to that. So kind of like a warm-up. Get ready for college football. And, of course, the NFL. We'll be joined by the wise man himself. The studio has come up with the logo for it, so they're finishing that up. So we'll be covering the Big Ten in football. I'll be covering, of course, the Big 12. And Shano, you've got two huge ones, ACC and SEC.
Big ones, big conferences there, especially the SEC. SEC is huge for football, especially, right? And you said about vacations. We might do a shooting on location on vacation.
I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that. But we'll end it with this. We'll get ready for, of course, our new show, courtesy of Spotify, and we'll post that, of course, on YouTube, etc. It is just Red Zone Bets, baby. So that'll cover everything in both the college and the professional leagues of football. But we'll start you off with some Canadian Football League and some soccer. We'll finish up some French Open as that's starting to come to the end. Some more WNBA as the Queen is taking the night off because there's no WNBA tonight. So she'll be back tomorrow, and she's been on fire. She's been on fire. And maybe I'll do a little bit more studying on some NASCAR. But we've got the NHL Finals coming up, and we'll have our next video will be the NBA Finals. So make sure you tune in on that. Until next time, I'm Joe the Fan. That's Shane O'Mac. And keep winning. Cash those tickets and just win bets, baby.